Welcome back to the Working Class Bug YouTube channel. My name is Ted. Now today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do some maintenance on a waterhead. And when I say a waterhead, like I said before, I'm not talking about the weird guy that you gave wedgies to in high school. I'm talking about a water-cooled Volkswagen, a modern water-cooled Volkswagen. And in this case, it's going to be a 2013 Volkswagen Tiguan. We're going to give it an oil change. But in this particular car, oil change is a little bit different. This car suffers from very low oil pressure because it has some worn out parts in the bottom end of the engine. So we have to use a few different items that you would normally not use in a modern Volkswagen car. So stick around, let's check it out. All right, first thing you want to do anytime you're changing oil on the car before you let the oil out of the bottom is to make sure that you can put the new oil in the top. So you want to make sure that the oil cap will come off. So let's do that. Get this stuff out of the way. And we'll pop the hood here and make sure that we can get the oil fill cap off. And of course, it's right here on top of the engine. It has plainly marked oil. And that's where we're headed. It does come off. So let's set it here somewhere we won't forget it. Put it here. So you try to close the hood, it won't close because it'll crush that and break it, and you'll have to go get a new one. So let's get down below and we'll let the old oil out of the bottom of the oil pan. This guy right here is the drain plug. This is the oil pan where the old oil is going to be. This guy here is a 16 millimeter. And find my ratchet. We'll see if we can break things loose. All right. You probably want to wear gloves doing this. This old oil is not going to smell the best. And that smell will never come off your hands. And your wife or girlfriend, whatever, won't be a fan of that. Or boyfriend, I don't judge. Whatever it takes. Get a little black gold out of there. Get a rag handy. And we'll let that run on out of here. Looks pretty gross. That looks really gross. That oil's got about 5,000 miles on it. It doesn't have a lot of time on it. But like I said, because this thing is worn out in the bottom end, and the pistons and the cylinders and everything are wore out, there's a lot of blow by, which contaminates the oil. Turns it black really fast, kills it really fast. That should be good enough. It's got a new crush washer on it. We'll get that back in there. Maybe. If this was the one that maybe somebody had cross-threaded before, that is now difficult to reinstall. You don't have to really give this a whole lot of torque. It's probably, I think, about 30 foot-pounds or less. Tighten that just enough to give the little crush washer a little Yeah, a little sealing action there. It crushes up tight against the metal of the oil pan. And that's that. So we'll go up above and we'll deal with the oil filter, because on this car the oil filter is up in the top, on top of the engine. Our next task will be to remove this old oil filter. Lots of different ways you can do it. It's supposed to only be hand tight, but they never are. So let's try to get some of this stuff out of the way here. Make it a little easier. Right here is the oil filter. Kind of hanging out down there. I'll get the new one out to show you what it looks like. It's just a O'Reilly's brand, I believe. There is the part number if you should want to buy one from O'Reilly's for this type of car. I think they're Wix brand, just with sold by O'Reilly's. I mean, they look like a Wix filter. But it's microgod. These are a little weird. They come with a spin-on adapter already on them. Is that one missing the gasket? No, the gasket's here. So, like I say, it's a little strange. Has a little spin-on threaded adapter on it, and it's kind of opposite what most of these spin-on filters are. But Volkswagens are weird. See if I can turn it by hand. I cannot. So, got this little doodad tool here I use. Hopefully that will break it loose. Maybe. Yep, it's turning. There. Give me back my tool. Thank you. All right, we get the old one out. And like I said, all the oil that's inside this filter will drain down into the engine block. But still probably want to have a rag handy, just in case you have some drips. And that one's good. There is the old guy. All right, now your new one, you do want to put a little bit of oil on the gasket. I've already done it, but I'll show you what you need to do. Just take a little fresh oil, put it on your finger. And you want to coat the gasket really well with fresh oil. Because if you don't, that rubber, when it's dry, will stick against the frame of the oil filter housing. Let me show you the oil filter housing. Have a look down in here. That is where the oil filter lives, right down here. And that's what it screws into. You want to try to clean this off a little bit the best you can. Make sure there's no goo on there. You don't want to have an oil leak. That is a high pressure area, and you'll have quite the leak if you do. Let me get a clean rag, cleanish rag. How about that? Paper towel will do nicely. Get it nice and clean in there. And just take your new filter. I believe this is a, it came from O'Reilly, but I think it's a Wix brand. And there's the part number if you have one of these water heads and you want to change the oil. That's what you'll need. And when you put this in, you want to be careful. Make sure you don't cross thread it. you cross thread this, it would not be a good day. Replacing this oil filter housing is not easy, and you just want it to be hand tight. Get it good and snug, but you want it to be hand tight. If you crank this thing down, for some reason, they really crank down later and they're impossible to get off. They tighten themselves up somehow. For this guy, because of the low pressure issues, I'm going to use some heavy duty diesel oil, make the oil a little thicker, help it get some pressure up to the top end of the engine. This engine is pretty much wore out. The bottom end of the engine has a bad bearing or something that's letting the oil pressure escape before it makes its way up to the top end of the engine. So when this engine's hot, it usually runs about 10 psi of oil pressure. They're supposed to run 45. And so you've got lack of lubrication up on the top end, makes it noisy, ticky, and I'm sure it's just slowly eating away, all the cam parts and the tensioners and all that. So I already did put a gallon of oil in there, but we'll drop a little bit more. And I'm going to put some additive in it. The additive I'm going to use is just some old school STP. This stuff is thick like molasses. It'll help keep the oil pressure up. And it also has, some zinc in it and some ZDP that's supposed to help, with the wear. And we're already wearing too much, so everything helps. So let me, since I cannot get this off with my gloves on, I get a screwdriver, give it a good poke. You'll see when I add this stuff, it is thick. Hopefully, it will help add some viscosity to that oil and stick to the stuff that needs to be stuck to, like all the cam lobes and lifters and all of that. I know all you modern Volkswagen waterhead guys are yelling at the screen right now, asking me what the heck I'm doing. But like I said, this engine is shot. It's about, it could go any day. When it runs, it sounds like a diesel running. Yeah, it sounds like there's a bag of marbles loose in the bottom of it. So I'm just trying to prolong this a little bit more, because a junkyard engine for this car is about $3,000. And the owner of this car, well, he don't have $3,000. Anyway, you get the general idea. You add the molasses. And there's a little bit left in there. All right. That should be enough. It'll take that a while to make its way down there. That is pretty much full to the brim. Might give it a little bit to grow on, because this thing burns oil almost as fast as it does gas. Yeah, that's right. Right above the full mark already. We'll fire this thing up and let the oil circulate. Let it run for a few minutes. And then we'll get a good level out of it and make sure we got it topped off. Oil cap's back on. I'm not going to slam it in the hood. And our surgery is finished, so we'll get rid of these gloves. Let's find the keys and fire this thing up, and you'll get to hear just the beautiful sounds of a worn out 2-liter Volkswagen. All right, bombs away. Don't sound great. I said some of that ticking is the direct injectors making their ticks. The rest of this, the cam phaser, just clicking together. Yeah, the cam lobes just smacking. It runs like that. It's ran like that for at least 5,000 miles. Hopefully it keeps living to see another day. We'll let it run for a few minutes, and we'll turn it off and check the oil. Like I said, this thing sounds like a diesel when it runs. So I'll let it run for a few minutes, warm up a little bit, and let's check the oil level, see where we're at. Yeah, I think we probably add just a touch. It's a little under full. And like I said before, as fast as this thing burns it, probably wouldn't hurt to be just a touch over full. All right, that should get us there. All right, I will fire it up again. Let you hear what this non-diesel gas engine sounds like. It does sound like a diesel, but it's not. Good stuff. Well, hopefully after it runs a little bit, that STP will make its way around and help it out some. Oh, all the robots are clicking. All right, thanks for hanging out with me again. Doing a little bit of wrenching in the dark. It is winter time here in West Virginia, so the sun's only out what feels like 2 hours a day. But it is what it is, and we'll deal with it. But like, share, and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and you all have a Merry Christmas. Let's fire this puppy up and go for a little ride. See what it sounds like. This is a pretty good car. I mean, it's all-wheel drive. It's four-cylinder turbo. It's a small SUV. It's probably the smallest Volkswagen SUV made during that time frame. They run pretty good. They get decent gas mileage. For an all-wheel drive. This one has had it. I don't think anybody, some of the first owners, I don't know how many owners it's really had. I didn't do a Carfax on it, but I think that in its earlier life, it wasn't taken very good care of, oil changes and all that, and it's just about wore out. But the top end's been ticking and making this noise for a long time. So hopefully it just keeps on rolling. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Merry Christmas.